All right. Can I back this up, or is it going to be worse?
No, you can do that.
Okay, thank you. I'll go ahead and just kind of get started, just kind of a review from last week. Really tried to spend a lot of time last week with our players just about, what the messaging for the week was going into the game, and just trying to, again, make sure that they understood. We talked a lot about resetting their minds and, again, trying to do a good job with their bodies and practice schedule and adjustments. We spent a lot of time last week just talking about what their hearts were going to be like, and talked with our staff a lot about just what leadership looks like, and that there can be difficult times and adversity, and trying to do a good job of telling the truth to our players with everything that we've done, and trying to make sure they understood how much we cared about them. Big emphasis for the week was really starting fast, and we adjusted the practice schedule to try to help ourselves do that, with really coming right out of the gate and having a good on good period, so to speak, and trying to kind of change their mindset for that. I think the other part of the start fast that was really good to be able to see in the game and carry over from practice. What we've been doing was the opportunity we adjusted the practice schedule to a Thursday night and to a Friday night. We played a tremendous amount of games at 7:30, 5:30, and trying to kind of get them to reset and get ready for a nighttime thing. So I think there were a lot of goals that were achieved throughout the game, particularly how we played the first half, the first series, and being able to get off the field with some 3 and outs with the defense, as those things went. I think, after reviewing the tape, and we talked a lot about it this morning with the team, I took a little bit different approach in our team meeting this morning. And so it's kind of what I've called an action and reaction tape. And so rather than trying to compartmentalize the offense or compartmentalize the defense, what we tried to do was take a play or two of every series in the game. So we start with the opening kickoff, then we go to the offense, and we go through 2 to 3 plays and show them an action and then the reaction. So obviously being where we were able to convert on some third downs, in the first drive, then going for it on 4th and 3, taking again practice clips that we had used on the same play throughout the week, and being able to show those things. The thing that really stands out is we're at a place where, again, I don't do a very good job with the ball on -40, 5 minutes left in the second quarter. I make the decision to go for it on the 4th and 1, and we don't get it. We don't convert. So that's the action. The reaction is that we wind up giving up a touchdown in that series, and that puts us down going into halftime. Our offense does a great job of getting the ball back and going down, having an opportunity to drive. But the real action of that is, rather than having to do the fire drill, which we call Tora to bring the field goal unit on, is that we'd had to burn a timeout earlier in the half with the defense. And it was because there was a 3rd and short, and we had a player come off the field, and those are unacceptable things. If we had the timeout back, we wouldn't have had to get into it. So trying to teach them, specifically through the game, of how all 3 parts work together. We use the word complementary football a lot, but trying to actually teach the action or reaction of how these things complement each other. Went through the second quarter and used a great example, with Jay Marsh. So the opening kickoff, I don't know if y'all remember it or not, but Jay Marsh runs down there. He's 10 yards ahead of everybody. He makes contact on the 10, and it's a great individual play. They wind up holding him, so now the ball gets spotted at 5. We get 3 straight series where the defense is playing, with the ball inside the 10, 3 and outs. We punt it, ball's at 50. We've got short fields, opportunities to score. We miss a field goal in there, which again is another, action in there. But trying to just show them how close we really are, and that, through those pieces of the third quarter, we should really be in a, at the very least, a 1-score game. And so I thought it was really good. I thought they handled it well. And again, trying to just continue to tell them, what the truth is. And I thought it was really good. UNLV, just really want to thank again our administration and everybody that kind of put together the snow days, and getting our fan support and getting our students coming to the game. Those things are huge for our players and how they feel about it. Coach Mullen and his staff did an incredible job. They continue to do a good job. And again, best of luck to them as they get going. I've got to find a way, like I said, to do a better job in the middle 8, the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. As we look forward, to New Mexico this week, it'll be a little bit different. We got an early kick, so for the first time this year, we got to get up and be ready to go early on a Saturday. I think Coach Eck has done an incredible job there and had obviously done a really good job, while he was at Idaho, and they're playing good football. Offensively, they control the game. Quarterback does a good job. They've got good running backs. Offensive line plays really, really well together, and they've got receivers that can hurt you down the field. And I think that the quarterback makes it go with the decisions that he makes, and the tight ends do as well. Again, the quarterback's got almost 2,000 passing yards, and they use them very, very well. Defensively, we've had a chance to follow them a couple different times this year. I think defensively they do a great job stopping the run. They have an attacking front, play 4 down, and their linebackers really, really do a good job. Are solid and firm in the run game, and really, create some problems there. Defensive end that they have, number 1, does an outstanding job of being able to create havoc in the backfield. He's somebody we've got to have awareness for, and our quarterbacks have got to as well. And then again, I think, with the special teams, one of the highest guys in the league to go along with Brian is their punter. I think he's averaging 46, 47 yards, and it'll be a good atmosphere, and it's a great opportunity for our guys. Just spent a lot of time this morning with them, trying to reset again their hearts and trying to make sure they understood, that there are actions and there are going to be reactions to those things, and it's our opportunity to continue to put together good film and do something great. And so one foot in front of the other. I thought they had a really good look in their eyes, as we left our team meeting this morning and headed into position meetings. And then I'm looking forward to having a great day tomorrow. So that was long-winded. I apologize.
You're good. You took breaths. You used punctuation. The whole reaction. Yeah. The whole, when you talk about the action, the action, the reaction, how does that tie in with your message of reset that you've been with them?
To your point, 100%. I mean, I think so much of the time, and we really did this with our staff. So this morning, we met with the staff early, and we took the entire staff, put them in a room together. And exactly what we did with the players this morning in our team meeting, with the action reaction, we did it with the entire football staff. So again, we start with the open play of the game, the kickoff return. I go through it with Tommy and our staff and what we have to do there. Truthfully, again, I've only been in this position for about 2 weeks, so a lot of it's me asking questions and going, okay, well, I feel like this, or philosophically, I think this when it comes to things, particularly with the offense and with the special teams. So, all of it is a reset. So the same point, like I said, I think, when I was trying to give the example of them, when we talked this morning, like with Jay Marsh, he's a running back that's in there playing gunner on the kickoff team and is incredible at it. A lot of people wouldn't look at his, body type necessarily or his stature and say that's the position you would think, but he's the guy doing it, and he's the one that makes up his mind to do it. So what I was trying to ask them is, why not you? Why not you? If one player can affect, literally 3 series of offense and defense to start the second half, well, what happens if we have 2 players doing that, 3 players doing that, 4 players? And so I think it all becomes reset. If we do something good, we've got to be ready to reset. If we make something bad happen, we've got to be ready to reset. And then kind of like I talked about the other day, we're in a really good position as far as where we start the game and how we're flowing through it. And again, battling, but we've got to do a good job of being able to stay disciplined. And what I tried to show them this morning is it's us. There's so many things in there that are controllables, and so many things that we get a chance to control. So why not, if we clean these up, why can't we be a team that now is in a position to win a 2-score game and a 1-score game? And so I think we were able to convey that message, and again, have another opportunity to reset this morning and go again tomorrow and do the same thing.
When a team is in a position like yours is right now and all the changes that have happened, does it put more pressure on the captains to keep the mood where it should be, or should that be a shared behavior?
Well, I think both.
Yeah.
I think ultimately it comes back to choosing a leadership style, and I think that what we all do, and I know I do this as a parent, is, there are different seasons of life. They're, not necessarily football season, but just different seasons of life and different seasons of what does somebody need now. I say all the time as a parent, I have 3 children. I don't treat them all the same, all at the same time. I try to give them what they need. And I think at this moment, for us, like I said, our players and our staff need to hear the truth. But that doesn't mean it needs to be demeaning. That doesn't mean it needs to be all this. It really means that we need to show them the opportunity that's ahead of us. So, we start each day, like I said, 7:15. We do our team meetings in the locker room. I can tell they're frustrated with me. They've had to listen to Michael Jackson way too many times, and Marvin Gaye way too many times, and Earth, Wind, and Fire way too many times. I heard some Mariah Carey the other day. I'm not sure about all that, but anyway, we're going to walk in and have good vibes every day, and we're going to start every day with culture, and we're going to start every day with trying to give them the truth, good, bad, or ugly, and try to keep moving in the right direction. I saw a lot of positive things from the film. Saw a lot of things that we can correct, and I think that we're headed in the right direction. Ultimately, I think that as we just continue to build, I think that the trajectory is so important for where we're headed, and I think what you really saw again was the opportunity for us to translate some of those things early. Like I said, the starting fast period translates into us having speed and being able to have some momentum early. And so, we'll continue to have that period in, but we'll focus on how to translate that into something else in the second half this week.
You guys offensively struggled on third down, I think, especially in the second half. When you're looking back at, were there, consistent trends that were hamstringing you, or kind of what jumped out?
Like anything, there's not one thing in particular. This third down, again, was whether it's an individual or whether it was a communication thing. There would be an individual one play. There might be a communication thing on another. Again, to the point we keep making, those are all things we can correct. Those are all things that we can get better at. And I kind of went back to them about Wednesday. Wednesday, I had 3 real focus points, and the first one was just making sure we had our eyes in the right place. And so there's a number of situations, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, where we really don't. And I was able to kind of hammer that home with them this week, of things that can be so easily correctable. So I think as it goes to third down, all of those things, but we need to put ourselves in a position to be in a manageable third down. As a defensive coach, forever I've tried to make sure that it's 3rd and 5 or greater, because now I have a bigger opportunity to do the things that I want to do, and I have a greater opportunity to really play on offense. And we've got to just make sure that we're staying ahead of the sticks, where we can be in more advantageous third downs of a 3rd and 2, a 3rd and 3, or a 3rd and 5. We don't want to get stuck in 3rd and 7 or greaters. And I think that'll help us more.
Yeah, and as the season kind of playing out the last few games, do you see yourself kind of testing out the younger talent on the roster, or just keeping how you've been doing?
I think we have. We've played a lot of freshmen, and I think that as we continue to do that, we'll continue to go with the guys that give us the best chance. At this point, there are a lot of freshmen that are helping us. I think just seeing DJ Hagan's for sure, and how much he's been able to play defensively for us. We've got a lot of redshirt freshmen, whether it's a Jack Moran or one of those guys that have been able to help us. Obviously, DC's got to play the last 2 or 3 games at quarterback, and he's a redshirt freshman as well. Some of the, again, not to try to make excuses with it, but some of the brutal honesty of the volume of injuries and the type of injuries we've had, kind of prevent us from moving into a lot of different or new guys, if that makes sense. But we'll continue to figure out what those things are. We got a couple more injuries this week. We'll continue to adapt and adjust and figure out what gives us the best chance.
You talked about, some of the guys feeling good coming out of the meeting, seeing that comparison in the practice versus game film. What sort of benefit is that to be able to just visualize that?
Well, I think, like I said, we're trying to make sure, like you said, that we're not just talking about it. I say this when it comes to recruiting all the time. For me, if I'm going to go buy a house, I got to go see the house. I can take all of the videos that you want to show me. I can look on Zillow and figure all those things out, but I got to go see the house. And so if you're able to actually show them what it is and then teach them and detail out how it works, like I said, a great example of us having to, unfortunately, use a timeout on a 4th and 1 situation that we know better than defensively is really what prevents us from being able to, be able to call a timeout and kick a field goal to end the first half. and gain a huge amount of momentum and get it back to a one-score game going into halftime. And so I think when you're able to show them that and teach them and take them all the way through it, I think it's huge.
When you look at New Mexico statistically, nothing really jumps out at you as this is the cause and effect type thing, but they are in a 3-game heater and they are coming off a bye week. What strikes you when you watch film of New Mexico?
They don't screw it up. You know, at the end of the day, they're teams that play well together, and they're teams that create things, you know, with explosives together on offense and defense. They don't screw it up. They don't take a lot of sacks. They don't have a lot of TFLs on offense. They're not behind the sticks very much. And defensively, they do a really good job of stopping the run, and that kind of keeps them ahead of the sticks, which gives them a chance to be successful on third down. But, you know, that's where I think Coach Ag and his staff do a really, really good job of just making sure, again, that they are playing complementary football the way they know how to, but they don't screw it up.
When you look at your offense and trying to get it on track, you made the change of quarterback a few weeks ago. How has Jackson handled that? And have you seen times where you think he's trying to be the solution to everything?
Sure.
Or how has that worked out for him, you think?
I think it's worked out well. You know, I mean, JB and I talk, you know, at least, you know, every day at some point on how things are handled and how things are going. I think JB's done a really good job. You know, there's always, I mean, the obvious is the certain set of challenges. We've had 3 different play callers through the year, and we've, you know, different times played 3 or 4 quarterbacks, you know, with how we've played Taj at times. So I think that those are all, you know, already set challenges that were kind of built in. But I think as we move forward, I think you saw where, again, the capacity could be. We've just got to be able to stay on track with those things. You know, the first drive of the game I thought was a really good one. And I think Grant's done a great job of being able to incorporate some tempo, some motion, some shifts, and getting JB on the, you know, outside the pocket that can protect your offensive line with certain things, and obviously prevents the defensive coordinator from being able to hone in on one protection or another. And so I think we've done a good job of that. We've got to be able to sustain those things. And then, you know, what we looked at was really opportunities where there's probably 8 to 9 opportunities where, you know, within a matter of inches, we should be able to go have a big play that should go for 50 or 60 yards, and we don't. So what's the difference? The difference has got to be that, again, you know, we've got to figure out how to turn some of these actions into good reactions and find a way to go make some of these explosives when we get the chance.
I'm kind of curious about this playlist, though. I mean, is this your playlist?
No, sir.
What
No,
Mike?
sir.
So
No, sir.
who's
This is
picking
great.
Michael Jackson?
This is a great question. Okay, who does the playlist for the pre-meetings each morning? So it started off with Adam Hodge, okay, as our video coordinator. He was dismissed from that role very quickly. And so we put Tyson Williams, our assistant corners coach, in charge of it. He has a much better feel. There is always, I have the last right of refusal. If I walk in and I don't like what we're listening to, then we typically go to Ain't No Mountain High Enough by Marvin Gaye. That's kind of the, we occasionally go to Marvin Sapp. Never would have made it as well, but they kind of know if it's Michael Jackson or if it's Marvin Sapp or if it's Marvin Gaye. I usually walk in and adjust it.
So you're not laying claim to this playlist, though. It really is your choice.
I'm not necessarily in there
Okay.
for the entire precursor, so I don't know what they've done until I walk in.
And I am a little worried because you did mention Mariah Carey. Are we talking Christmas songs already, which is way too early, or just you're not a big fan of Mariah Carey's pop days?
I have no issues whatsoever. I'm not getting myself caught in that trap. I have no issues whatsoever. I was caught off guard.
Okay.
That would be the right
You weren't
word.
expecting
I was not
Mariah
expecting it. I was
Okay.
not. But if you know Tyson Williams very well, you know that he is, he likes a wide variety of things.
Okay.
He's done a good job with it.
The other person, Jace Bella, has come in and has filled a role for you. He's now the first player at this program to have 4 interceptions in a year since Trent Matthews.
Really?
What has Jace done to kind of just be Johnny on the spot in some of these places?
Well, I tell you, you know, he throughout the season, you know, again, he's a guy that didn't play the first 2 games of the year, and then his role has continued to increase. And, you know, I think he's just a great example of a guy that's gotten an opportunity. Some of that was due to injuries, and some of it was due to some other things. But he's got an opportunity to run with it. You know, when he had his very first interception of the year 4 games ago, he was playing boundary safety, and he had never once run that technique. He had walked through it. He had been in a meeting, but he had played strong safety all year. And because of the injuries, he went over there. He played the technique perfectly, had taken his coaching through the meetings and the walkthroughs and applied it. And so what I think you see with him is a guy that is applying the information that he's getting, and then he's playing extremely hard. You know, his interception the other night is not necessarily one. He's the middle of the field safety, and he goes through, plays his technique correctly, sees the ball thrown to the quarterback, takes off, closes a 20-yard gap on the ball, and gets tipped, and he's where he's supposed to be. And so I think it's a combination of his instincts, and I think it's a combination of his effort, and ball finds his hands. You know, I think the game where he had 2 interceptions, if I remember correctly, he had an entire cast on one hand, so trying to just catch the ball with a cast on one hand is a feat of its own. But he's going to make the most of his opportunities. His teammates love him. He's a juice, energy guy, and he very much sets a tone for us.
Good.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.